Up until the middle of the 19th century, the Western world understood nature through a concept called the Great Chain of Being. It was a rigid, unchanging hierarchy where every living thing had its fixed, eternal place. This hierarchy relied on the doctrine of special creation. Society believed that God created every plant and animal simultaneously, placing each species on Earth in the exact physical form we see today. This classical view gave humanity a sense of ultimate meaning and divine purpose. But as geologists began to study the Earth, they found a problem. The fossil record was full of extinct creatures that didn't fit this static model, showing a physical reality of constant biological change. This is the title page of Charles Darwin's On the Origin of Species, published in 1859. Its arrival shattered the idea of a fixed biological order. Looking at this portrait of Darwin, we see the man who introduced population thinking. He proposed that species are not permanent blueprints, but temporary, fluid populations shaped entirely by their local environments over vast stretches of geologic time. Darwin's model suggested that if biological changes occur through random variation and are selected only by the immediate needs of survival, then the resulting forms are not the result of a plan. This logic stripped away the need for teleology, the belief that the universe is moving toward a predetermined goal. We can see the resulting cultural schism in historical photos, like this one from the 1925 Scopes monkey trial. Society split into warring camps, religious fundamentalists defending the biblical story of creation, and scientific materialists who viewed life as a product of blind necessity. Darwin's mechanism forced humanity into a rigid binary. People felt they had to choose, accept the physical evidence of science and abandon a sense of cosmic meaning, or protect that meaning by turning their backs on the evidence written in the rocks. In this 1911 portrait, we see Abdu'l-Bahá, a leading figure of the Bahá'í faith who traveled to the West and presented a third option. He argued for the essential harmony of science and religion, claiming they are two wings of the same truth. Looking at this museum hall, with its massive whale skeleton and ancient fossils, we see the deep geologic time that Abdu'l-Bahá fully acknowledged. He agreed that physical forms evolved and that the Earth has passed through many eras of biological change. But he drew a sharp line at Darwin's philosophical conclusions. While he agreed that species adapt and physically evolve, he rejected the idea that this process is purely random or unguided by a higher intelligence. He established that accepting the biological reality of how organisms change over time does not require us to accept the philosophical assumption that the universe has no purpose. To bridge this gap, he proposed a concept called the originality of species. Species are not physical labels, but timeless essences, invisible laws determining what a form will become. These blueprints interact with matter when the environment is prepared. Life doesn't invent its design. It steps into a pre-existing universal framework. Think of an acorn. When it bursts into a sprout, then a sapling, and eventually a massive oak tree, it looks entirely different at every stage. Yet its core species never changed. It was an oak tree the entire time. This is a model of parallel evolution. A primitive biological seed emerges and gradually unfolds towards its specific, predetermined potential. It undergoes massive physical changes, but it does so step by step without randomly crossing into a different species. Under this view, an organism's transformation over millions of years is the successful realization of its hidden blueprint. It is the fulfillment of a plan, not a biological accident. If we apply this framework to human evolution, the picture changes. Early human forms on this planet may have been primitive or unrecognizable to us today, but they were always unfolding the distinct human essence. The drivers of evolution that scientists study, genetic mutation, DNA, and adaptation, are simply the physical tools used by the universe to achieve a goal that was already intended. There is a distinction between the clay and the architect. Science maps the clay, the physical matter and mechanisms of life. Teleology maps the architect, the timeless laws and purpose that give that matter its meaning. The binary between science and meaning is a false choice. Modern science explains exactly how the house of life was built, while the existence of these blueprints explains why the universe expected our arrival from the very beginning.